So what we shall do is I have so many tabs up here. So Michael, you're going to scroll us. I'm going to share the screen here. And you're going to scroll us through these prayers. Feel free to make it larger if you want, if you can. Alright, so we'll sing some prayers to the Gurus to seek their blessings. We actually can't do anything on our own. So we want to seek their blessings to empower us to follow in their footsteps. Oh, why is it doing like that? Actually, that's not correct. Yeah, actually, this isn't the correct reading that I was. Oh, that's the one. Okay, there you go. Alright, so everyone together.
I just didn't know it.
He only found the Shikshastakam too, he didn't get to. No worries, Michael. So okay. So we're going to talk about the pastimes of Krishna. They're continuing. Last time, yeah, turn that off. You guys don't need to see my face the whole time. I'll do it for the bhajan, but not right now. So, yeah, we talked about the pastimes of Krishna last time, and we talked about the donkey demon, Dhenukasura. He kicked Balaram, who's the source of the guru. So we talked about many demons actually previously, but Dhenukasura was the most recent one, and he is the ass or donkey of blunt judgment, meaning that we just make an initial judgment and may not have full understanding of a situation, especially in regards to the devotee, especially in regards to the guru. We may not be very versed in devotional principles, and we may judge devotees, we may judge spiritualists based on very blunt judgments. But we have to be very discriminatory. We should have very deep and subtle discriminations. It's said in the Bhagavatam that the whole world will never be able to recognize how a devotee walks, how he talks, what he does. So we actually have to be very, very careful with how we, one, judge a devotee, and then two, judge Krishna as well. You know, we could see just a glance at Krishna's pastimes, like, oh, look, he's dancing with a bunch of unmarried women. Why would he do like that? He's a debauchee. I'm not interested in a type of God like this. But this is actually a huge danger. To have very blunt judgment, very surface level judgment. So Dhenukasura is that absolute personification of this type of blunt judgment. So ultimately, Krishna has to kill that. And in the heart of all the devotees, all of us, we have obstacles to our devotional life. There's processes to bhakti, and to make advancement of bhakti, we actually have to remove these obstacles that are dormant in our heart, in our conditioned heart at least. At the soul level, actually, we are pure. But through our association with the material modes of nature, and due to our infinitesimal nature, we're completely overpowered by the modes of illusion, the modes of nature around us. And unfortunately, we get bewildered. And in our bewilderment, we develop anarthas. Artha is wealth, and anartha is that which carries no wealth, that which is unwanted, has no real value. And what is this? There are many different anarthas. There's 4 different types of anarthas. I'm not studied on what the 4 types are right now. Like, I don't have them all on the top of my head. And I'm actually learning about this process myself. But by the killing of the demons in Krishna Lila, each demon represents an anartha, an unwanted quality that's going to hold us back from achieving pure love of God, which is what we're all looking for. We're all looking for Krishna Prema, pure love between us and Krishna. And it's achievable if we let Krishna into our life. It's achievable if we let Krishna also go through the pastimes of killing all the demons of this material world. In your heart. It has to start in your heart. Alright, so we talked about in the very beginning of Krishna appearing, he appeared from Vasudeva, who's the personality of pure goodness. So when pure goodness arises in the heart, there's a chance for Krishna to take birth in that person's life. And over time, Krishna, as he arises in your life, more and more, he starts to take down different demons. The first demon is the ultimate deceiver, the false guru, the one who is promising some type of spiritual perfection, but it's only a show bottle. It's only on the outside it looks good, but when you actually peer deep into the teachings of that guru, it's not actually what it's cracked up to be. And actually there's ill intent, there's intent to exploit, there's intent to potentially harm. There's so much ill intent there. So actually Krishna has to kill these different demons and these anarthas in us, because we have the tendency, we want to exploit people. In the beginning of our conditioned life, we want to exploit people. We maybe want to use them for our purposes. And this is ultimately in our desires. But also ultimately this is a very unwanted thing. And if you want Krishna, who is the Supreme Person, if you want him to come into your heart, You have to let him do his work in there, and he likes to kill these things. He likes to remove these unwanted things. So we should be very careful who we learn from and hear from, and take shelter in, and get taught from. Who is our guru? Who is our teacher figures? We should find a teacher figure. So then there's some other demons, Trinavarta, who, what did he represent? Does anyone remember when we were doing like this? Oh, I remember now. He represented the all type of logics and philosophies, material philosophies that are so attractive to the material mind, where we want Krishna to fit within our logical reasoning. But ultimately, he's not going to fit in the little box of your mind. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's far, far beyond what the mind can capture. So it's compared to philosophies like Voidism, like Buddhism, Mayavadism, or thinking everything is God, all is God. Prabhupada, I was listening to something this morning, and this is a hilarious analogy. The Mayavad philosophy thinks everything is God, all is the same. Why worship Krishna when you can worship anything? You can worship that couch cushion over there. It's equal to Krishna, it's also Krishna. So the Mayavadis speak like this. And Prabhupada said, okay, very good. You know, your body has 9 holes. You have the 2 eyes, the 2 ears, the 2 nose. Then you have the mouth, the genital, and the anus. He said, instead of putting food in the mouth, all the holes are the same. Why don't you put food in the rectum and see what happens? So Prabhupada is making this joke like this. But of course, you wouldn't do like that. Where does food go? Food goes in the mouth. That's where the taste is, that's where the pleasure is, that's how it gets to the stomach. In emergency circumstances, they actually do, they will force feed nutrients up through the rectum, actually, in the medical society. But it's just a very diseased condition where you actually do like this. But Prabhupada is giving this analogy, not all is the same. So these material logics is the representation of Trinavarta. Then there was Shakatasura, who was the cart demon. Now, what did he represent? Anyone remember that one? I have to go back and refresh on all of these demons. I only study on the one that we do for the time being. But again, each demon that he goes through is a theme that we all need to remove an anartha in our heart. It will come to me in like 5 minutes, but not right now. But we've made our way up through Dhenukasura, who is the donkey or the ass of blunt judgment. And we have to be very careful with how we are judging Krishna, how we are judging spiritual life, how we are judging the devotees, and how we are judging Guru. And we should be very careful not to offend them. We should be very careful not to offend them. We should be very careful to associate in friendly relationships with them at all times. This is so important. Lest you'll have to be chastised, like Krishna has to chastise Dhenuka. Ultimately, Balaram, or the Guru, had to chastise Dhenuka. So, that was last week. But we talked at the end of that pastime, you okay? Oh yeah, that was the week before. That's why. Because we had Prabhupada Priya here last week. Thank you. So, now we've reached to, what we talked about is after the Dhenuka pastime, the boys were thirsty and they went over to the Yamuna River. But they entered a very interesting part of the river where the river gets very wide and it flows very slowly, almost if not at all. And it's like a lake in the midst of the Yamuna. And they took a drink, and then they all actually, one by one, pass out. And it said that they actually all died right after this. So, what has happened? They had come into a subsection of the Yamuna River where a vicious ancient serpent named Kaliya was residing. So Krishna, he saw all this, and he saw all of his friends had died. So naturally, because he's the Supreme Lord, and he was um, feeling very compassionate for his friends, he went and revived all of them, and he had revived every one of them. So then Krishna had said he hopped all, if you look around this portion of the lake, actually all the trees and all of the vegetation were all dried up and wilted and rotting. Why? Because there was a very vicious poison in that part of the Yamuna. Yamuna is said to be the spiritual waters. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to give, we'll read a few of his understandings of this. But I'm going to tell the pastimes from the Krishna book or from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, ultimately, the Yamuna was poisoned. So Krishna was very angry that this pure spiritual liquid, this pure spiritual current of the Yamuna that is enriching the land of faith, the land of Vrindavan, has a place where there is poison. So Krishna cannot tolerate this. So it said that Krishna went and slapped his arms. There was one tree still surviving on the side of the Yamuna, and it was a Kadamba tree. A name for Krishna is Kadamba Kanana. Does anyone know what Kanana means? I don't know what it means either.
Kanana.
Kanana. Kadamba Kanana. I don't know. What's that? You know what? If I look up Kadamba Kanana meaning, sure. Kadamba Kanana. It means he who plays in the groves where the Kadamba flower grows. And that's Krishna. He always plays where the Kadamba trees and the Kadamba flowers grow. So he hopped on this Kadamba tree. And actually you can visit this Kadamba tree. It's still existing in Vrindavan. You can go to Kaliyagat. I've been there a few times now. And you can touch this tree where Krishna had jumped up. He'd slapped his arms, he's hiked up his dhoti, and he tied his belt tighter, and he was ready to go wrestle, take care of whatever the problem is. So Krishna does this, he slaps his arms, he's ready to fight, and he jumps off this branch and into the water that just killed all of his friends. And it said, now if you were to jump into a river, not much splash would happen, right? You jump into a river, some small splash would be there, no problem. But it said when Krishna jumped into this river, that the whole shore just completely overwashed with water on all sides. Why? Because he is the most heavy. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he decides to fight and sport. It's going to be a pretty epic scene. So the whole river actually overflowed. So now he's thrashing about, swimming about in this part of the lake. Everything else was dead in this portion of the lake. The very poisonous serpent Kaliya his poison was so strong that actually everything was dead. But Krishna is in there thrashing. So naturally he's offended. Who's come into my portion of the lake? Who's come here like this and is doing? So but Kaliya, he's an ancient, very powerful being. He only had one enemy, and we'll talk about that enemy, who had defeated him previously. But even he is there because his enemy cannot come there. So he decides, fine, I will seize this foolish boy. So this giant serpent with hundreds of heads appears out of the water. It would be like a hydra. I don't know, have you ever heard of a hydra? So it's like a serpent. A lot of these serpents that are explained in the ancient Bhagavatam and many of these pastime places, they have hundreds of heads, and they have jewels, and they even can breathe flames and fire. It's very type of mystical type of being. I don't have experience of this type of being, at least in this lifetime. What's that?
And you don't want to either.
Yeah, I don't think I do. I don't think so. Actually, a regular serpent is scary enough. We saw a few snakes when we were in Florida. And in the hotter weather, the snakes are a little bit more fearsome than in the snakes up here. Depends. I've seen some fearsome snakes up in this area too. But serpents are already quite fearsome animals. But now, you add that they're very, very large and have hundreds of heads, and they can breathe flames, and they're very poisonous. That's enough for me. I don't want to associate. But actually, this serpent is within us as well. He's the representation of malice. To have ill wishes or evil intentions towards others. To want to thwart others, usually out of jealousy, out of envy. I don't like this person. It could be a hatred of anyone. You see this in politics. So many people have this malice towards one candidate, or on the other side they have malice towards the other candidate. But actually we should not see like this. The devotee is the friend of all living entities. And if you want Krishna to exist in your life, you have to be the friend of all living entities. There should not be hatred for anybody. Even if they are doing very foolish things, which these politicians, yes. This one orange politician, he's very silly. And this other old politician, he can't even get his words straight. So they had to replace him and put some other younger politician in there. But they're not people to show hatred towards. They're not people... if anything, they're foolish and ignorant, and we should have mercy on them if possible, rather than see them with hatred or ill intentions. I mean, one candidate supposedly almost just got assassinated. I don't know what had happened, but if this were to be true, how much hatred is there to want to kill somebody unsuspecting, not even in a proper duel, from the side or something like this. So we should never have malice towards anybody, but especially towards Krishna, especially towards his devotees. And Bhaktisiddhanta had actually written a nice essay about Kaliya, and he drew many ties to what was happening in the spiritual movement that he was starting. There were so many people who were coming and trying to become enemies of the Krishna conscious movement. Even when Prabhupada started his movement in the West, there were so many enemies coming, trying to sue them in the courts, saying you're brainwashing people, you're starting some cult and something. And Prabhupada, they literally had to prove in the courts that this is an ancient religion, this is a bona fide practice. Like this, we should be able to practice freely. So there are so many people who will become enemies. They don't realize it, but they're enemies of God. They're saying, even yesterday, we were doing Harinam at the campus, and we were talking to so many nice people, and they were doing well. They were getting books. They were excited about the programs. But then there were these two Christian gentlemen, and they were nice gentlemen. Don't get me wrong, but they felt very threatened by my approach to God. It's not my approach. It's Krishna's approach to God. But very threatened. They know, this is the only way, the truth, and the life, and no one is going to heaven except this way. They quote this all the time. So they did this like this yesterday, and they luckily they were nice, and they heard me out, and we had a nice discussion. But ultimately, I said my one lamentation is we are all men of faith here, and we're having talk, but there's so many people passing by that really have no inclination towards spiritual life, and instead of talking to these people who could use our help, we were all having little discussion with each other, and all the time we had that night was wasted. I felt it was wasted, at least. At least, we had a nice conversation, but I felt there could have been more help done to the other population. So anyway, we have to be very careful not to have evil intentions towards Krishna. Also not to have evil intentions towards other religionists. Someone practicing sincerely Islam, or Christianity, or Judaism, or different forms of Hinduism. We should not have hatred towards them. We should not have evil intentions. We should not say, oh, Krishna's the only way, you fool. No. We should respect what they're doing as well. Oh, they're also approaching God. And we should try and support everybody.
At least in today's day and time. Mostly.
What's that?
At least in today's day and time. And there's such an illusion, highly influencing people. Even a slightest hint of faith is a blessing right now. People wandering in the streets.
Yeah, I mean, in Kali Yuga, the tendency is to have no religion whatsoever. So if somebody has some inclination towards God, we should support that inclination. I understand what you're saying. So anyway, like this is some of the subject matter that Kaliya represents. He is just so full of malice and evil intention. And this comes with incredible cruelty. Incredible cruelty. You'll do very cruel things to others for no really good reason at all. We have to be very careful. We're not doing like this in our life. We're not. I know all of you. I don't think, and I think Krishna must have been slaying this demon in your life already. But we should be very careful. Even of those we don't agree with, even with those who we don't necessarily like what they are doing. No problem. We should not have any type of evil intention towards them, try to check them, try and challenge them. This only will cause more poison and more poison. So, Kali had this very big problem, and now Krishna, the worst enemy you could have, if else he's the best enemy Kaliya could have. And there's something very special about Kaliya. Well, let me tell the story, and at the end I'll tell you what's very special about Kaliya as compared to every other demon. So Kaliya, he seized Krishna, and he wrapped him up in his coils. And you ever see this, a snake? It wraps up something's in its coils, and it squeezes the life out of them, and it tries to suffocate them that they can't breathe, and then it'll swallow them whole. So he sees Krishna is being squeezed up, and now all the boys on the side, they're all like this. Word has gotten out that Krishna went and challenged the snake, so they all went and told the rest of the residents of Vrindavan. They sent messengers, and now Mother Yashoda, all of the residents of Vrindavan, they're running over to Krishna. What is going on here? What is going on here? And they're horrified. They're shocked. Mother Yashoda wants to run right into the lake, and everyone's stopping her. No, it's poison. You can't go in there. And she's crying, but Krishna's in there, like a mother. So everyone is in fear. The gopis are in fear. Everyone, the cowherd. The only one who's not in fear is Balaram. He is just sitting there smiling.
Balaram is a serpent incarnation.
Yes, he is said to be one of his manifestations is Sheshanag. Yes, so
Narayan blessed on him.
Yes, he is ultimately many paraphernalia of Krishna, including all his clothing, his bedding. That Mridanga over there is an expansion of Balaram. There's many roles that he takes. The guru, principal. But ultimately, he was not worried at all. Why? Because he knows Krishna. He knows, he's not in any danger here. He is putting on a show. So Balaram is smiling, and he's checking people from going, and said, "Don't act. Just wait and see." So they're all like horrified. They're looking at Krishna, and he's being squeezed, and Krishna's like, he's a good actor. He's playing in the. Is this the last I'll see of you, Piyush?
First tonight, yeah.
Oh, okay, I'll see you later. So like this, he's checked everyone. So Kaliya, he's continuing his squeezing, and he's so proud, and he's so happy. Look, I've got you, you fool! You come in here, and he starts trying to be very cruel to Krishna, and all the residents of Vrindavan are crying, and he has no care at all for them. So like this, it looks like it's an onslaught of Krishna, and not only is Kaliya there, but there's many other serpents in there with him. His wives and kin and everyone is with him, and it looks like they're all surrounded Krishna, and it's game over for Krishna. So this is happening. Kali is breathing hot flames out of his mouth. It looks like a complete disaster. And then all of a sudden, Krishna, he kind of opens his eyes, and he's looking at some of the residents of Vrindavan, and he's giving, it's a look of hope. And all of a sudden, because he's the largest personality, he expands himself to a point where Kaliya could not squeeze him anymore. He could not squeeze him, and then eventually Kaliya had to let go, and then Krishna jumps up on top of this giant serpent. Now remember, Kaliya has hundreds of heads. So Krishna, what he starts doing is he starts dancing on each of Kaliya's head, and when he's dancing, he'll like dash his foot down and as part of a dance move, but actually it's like the hardest kick you could imagine. And he just starts kicking you could say kicking the poison out of Kaliya. He starts kicking and dancing and dancing and kicking and dancing and kicking. And all the gopis are very attracted watching his very playful, beautiful dancing. Everyone is just so mesmerized by his dancing. He's smiling, he's so happy, he's dancing. And with every dance, he's kicking, and then one head is hurt by, and so another head tries to bite and sees Krishna. And Krishna jumps on that one and kicks him, and it's just this wonderful, wonderful pastime where Krishna is dancing with such dexterity and so much skill. And it's so beautiful, it's described. And with every kick, poison would be vomiting out of that head. He would kick it so hard it would vomit poison, vomit poison, vomit poison, vomit poison. So in us, in our intentions to do harm or evil or malice to others, it's actually due to a poison within us. If we have hatred for anybody, it doesn't matter who it is, there's a poison within us. And we have to be kicked by Krishna to release that poison. Have you ever had ill intentions towards anyone in your life? Yeah, we all maybe have had some ill intentions towards others in our life. And usually what has to happen for us to forgive them is we somehow or other have to be put in a very difficult situation to realize, you know what, this isn't worth it anymore. Why am I doing like this? We have to be punished by the Lord. That's usually why we give up our ill intentions. We get checked by Krishna himself. He kicks us through life, and we vomit our poison, and we give up this ill intentions towards others. And now in devotional life, it's very likely, at least here, we're a small group today, it's very likely you probably have given up your ill intentions towards others. And if not, no worries, Krishna will kick that poison right on out, just like he does Kaliya. So, but this is like this, we should not have these ill intentions. We should never wish to do harm or evil to others. Sometimes justice might need to be there. We're desiring, say so you're just trying to share Krishna's message with others and someone is trying to get in the way. Maybe it would be nice if you hope that they got out of the way. But you don't want harm to fall upon that person. This is different. We had an instance on this Harinam. We were at this Armory Square, and there was this man who was part of the homeowners association there. And he did not like that we were chanting outside of their building. Even though it's a free public park, we have every right to chant there. He did not like it. Even though it's still light out, you're saying the kids are trying to sleep, and he tried to give us every argument for why we shouldn't be there and that we should leave, and he's threatening us and so many things. It's disturbing, actually. So yes, naturally I wanted him to get out of the way, but it would be very wrong of me to think, well, I want him to fall down the stairs, or I want him to, get hurt, or, I want Krishna to punish him. No, what we ended up doing instead is that we saw him as he was part of Krishna's mercy. Okay, Krishna wants, maybe we should take his advice and we should try, and we found a much better chanting spot near the university. So he really was Krishna's agent, and we should be thanking him for his checking us in our endeavor to do Harinam in this other place. But anyway, we should not have any evil intentions towards others. We should not try and harm others in their plans. Wish any harm upon them. This is not proper. So after Krishna is dancing on each of Kaliya's hoods and kicking the poison, eventually Kaliya realized by his chastisement, he realized all of his evil intentions towards Krishna. He started to begin to really respect Krishna. And he started to realize that Krishna actually, this is an ultimately powerful personality. Why should I challenge this person? And what ended up happening is there was no more poison to vomit up. And what he started to vomit was his own blood. And at this point, his wives had noticed. And they began to feel sorry for Kaliya. They saw that Kaliya had a change of heart. A change of his heart. Instead of now wishing evil, wishing to destroy and harm and be cruel towards Krishna, now he was just trying to preserve his life. And now he had given up all attempts on wanting to harm Krishna, and now he's just trying to survive as Krishna's punishing him and chastising him through his very vicious kicks, at the same time artistic dancing. And you might feel this in your life. Do you ever feel so checked by life? Everything you do is being checked, and Krishna is kicking you here, and he's kicking you there, and he's kicking you here, and he's kicking you there. He's only helping you. He's only trying to get the poison out. And he's waiting for you to surrender unto him and say, you know what, Krishna, I give up. What do you want from me? I'll do whatever you want. So Kaliya is like this, and he's developed this type of respect for Krishna. And his wives, they immediately start praying to Krishna. They had heard, everyone has heard about Krishna, especially in that Vrindavan. They had heard about Krishna. They had heard also in the ancient times, they're very ancient as well, of the manifestations of Narayan, and then they've heard of the Supreme Personality, and they start praying to Krishna. And they have beautiful prayers. If you read in Krishna book, if you read in the Bhagavatam, the Naga's wives, they have very many beautiful prayers, and they start praying to Krishna. And so ultimately in their prayers, Krishna, he eventually felt sorry for Kaliya. And even though Kaliya deserved to be punished more because he was very harmful, he was poisoning Vrindavan, the land of faith, the beautiful spiritual waters of the Yamuna, but he was poisoning all of that with his cruel intentions and evil, wicked ways. And ultimately, he felt sorry for them. And he was actually the one demon that Krishna did not kill. Due to the prayer of because his wives became his devotees, and also because Kaliya took the mood of becoming his devotee through his chastisement. Instead of wanting to rise against Krishna, now he was just feeling sorry for her. He was feeling repentant for how he had acted. So Krishna spared him, which is rare actually. He's the only demon that Krishna spared. So maybe Krishna will spare you in your own wicked ways as well. Even though you had shown evil intentions towards others. Maybe like in my life, I had evil intentions towards God. I had evil intentions towards those who practice God. I remember when I became atheistic, I wanted to share atheism with everybody. Especially I wanted to share it with those of my friends who I knew were religious. So, you can benefit from my knowledge that I've received of atheism. And ultimately, Krishna could have harmed me very badly. He could have done many things, but he ultimately spared me as well. And even though he kicked me in my life many times, I wouldn't be here if he didn't kick me so many times. He kicked me so many times. I try to do this thing, he kicks me there. I try to do this thing, he kicks me there. Every chance he got, I had to be kicked by Krishna until all my poison, all my hatred, all of my ill intentions towards others had to be removed. Just like Kaliya. But then actually I began to realize him and realize the necessity of God, and actually had a direct experience of God. I'll save that story for another time. You've probably heard that story from me many times. At least you guys have. But so anyway, we should learn from this to give up our malintent, our malice towards any living entity, but especially towards God, especially towards the ways of God and living like the devotees. We should not have any bad intentions towards any devotee. It doesn't matter what type of aparads or offenses they're making. Yes, there are some devotees who are a little less elegant than others in their devotional practice. But we should never have evil intentions towards them, even if they may mistreat us. And this happens. And even if you mistreat other devotees, by their mercy, they'll likely forgive you. This is the quality of a devotee. So be like this and forgive. Forgive the devotees. And forgive everybody. And understand that people act in these ways out of ignorance, not out of... so they don't know any better. And you can have compassion towards everybody in this way. So Krishna, he kicked Kaliya into his senses, but he had to chastise him, saying, "You're poisonous, you're in this body." Kaliya is apologizing that he has given this body, and he's saying, "Lord, how can I do anything else other than to share these emotions? Look at the type of body that I am in." A serpent is said to take a serpent's body due to such anger and envy. That's why he takes such a species that's so angry and envious, always trying to harm other species. You walk near a snake, it bites. Does no consideration. Very quick to bite the snake, the serpent. So like this, he was given this type of body. But ultimately, he was told he had to leave there. And he was saying, Krishna said to him, "Don't worry, Garuda will not harm you any further." Because he knew that Kaliya came there for a reason, and we'll tell that story, why Kaliya came to that portion of the lake. And there's another very valuable lesson here. Another lesson in judgment, especially of a devotee. So Maharaj Parikshit, he wanted to know why Krishna had said that. He wanted to know why why Kaliya had resided there in fear of Garuda, and why wouldn't Garuda be able to take him there? Garuda he's the eagle carrier of Lord Vishnu. In ancient times this has happened. So what had happened was that at one point Garuda is an eagle. Eagles are natural enemies to snakes. They come in, they swoop in, they grab them, and they grab their heads with their talons, and then they actually eat them. And this is well known. Serpents are very fearful of eagles. So in this ancient divine time where there's very large eagles and there's very large serpents, Garuda, who is like the king of eagles, he goes and he would take snakes. So naturally, the snakes were very upset that Garuda kept coming and killing all their relatives and eating them. So they prayed to Lord Brahma and they said, "Please, something has to be done about Garuda. Please show us some mercy." So Garuda is a great devotee of Vishnu, so he doesn't want to offend him. He says, "Okay, you offer him one serpent every so often, and then he will leave the rest of you alone." So like that was their penance. They had to offer one serpent every so often to Garuda, and then the rest of them could live peacefully. But there was Kaliya, who was a very, very powerful serpent. And he was thinking, why should Garuda be offered this serpent? Why should Garuda be offered this nice food? He's envious. I'm very powerful. They should offer it to me. I'm the king of the serpents. So he decided he would take the snakes will also eat each other, no problem. So he decided he would take the offerings meant for Garuda. And he thought that, I'm so powerful, I'll challenge Garuda myself. So he tried like this. But Garuda was very angry. And Garuda, thinking, "You fool, I will kill you." And so he goes and he's natural enemy of the snakes. And he starts to fight with Kaliya, and he's destroying Kaliya. And then Kaliya is realizing, oh, I'm in trouble. I have picked the wrong person to fight with. So Kaliya begins to swim away and go underwater, and Garuda is chasing him. But Kaliya, he knew that there's one place that Garuda is not allowed to go, and it's this little lake on the Yamuna River. And that's where he resided. And so Maharaj Parikshit, he asked Shukadev Goswami after hearing this passage, he says, why? Why could not Garuda go there? Why did Kaliya go there? And there's a very nice story of, is it not Satyavrata Muni? What is his name? It starts with an S. He's a Muni. It's slipping away from me. You want to research for it? You can. He look up who married the daughters of King Mandata. You could Google that. So this Muni was a great yogi, and he would do great meditations, and he was so much at peace doing his meditations and trying to conquer his senses, control his senses, and he'd meditate for thousands of years. Became a great meditator. But we talked about blunt judgment. Garuda had come there, and he would eat, eagles eat fish as well. He would take fish and he would eat them. So the fish were very disturbed, and the Muni is very in tune with nature, very in tune with the environment. So the fish, they plead to the Muni, please help us. Garuda keeps terrorizing us. Who is the Muni? Sarabhi Muni. Sarabhi. It's right? Okay. Sarabhi Muni. So this is I think it's Shabari Muni.
Shabari.
Yeah, Shabari Muni. That makes more sense to me. So Shabari Muni, he's meditating, and he's very disturbed now because the fish, he's having all kinds of compassion for the fish, but he's not recognizing the position of Garuda. Garuda is a devotee. He needs to eat. What does an eagle eat? An eagle eats snakes. The eagle eats fish. That's the eagle's natural food. So he's not performing a sin. So Garuda, they pleaded with Garuda. He pleaded with Garuda, okay, do not do like this. And so Garuda decided, all right, instead of taking many fish and terrorizing many, I will take the king, and I will take the biggest one, and then I'll be satisfied for some time. So he took the king of the fish, the biggest fish, and he went away. So now all the fish are again very, very disturbed. And so Shabari Muni, he took a point of self-righteousness, a very blunt judgment, where he thought, oh, this nonsense Garuda, you are terrorizing every other living entity. You should be ahimsa. You should be non-violent. What are you doing like this? So he cursed. In his mind, he cursed Garuda. And he said, if you come here and take fish from here, you will be cursed to die. And because of this curse, this Muni had done a great offense to a devotee. You should never curse a devotee. Never curse a devotee, even if you're not understanding that devotee. But, so he cursed Garuda, and what actually happened is that because this is very displeasing to Krishna, all of his austerities that he was practicing in meditation were now going to go to waste. And he would again become attracted to material enjoyment. So he had become liberated from material enjoyment. He realized the errors of getting entangled in family life and sex life and material enjoyment, and realizing how futile this attempt would be in life. But he was meditating under the lake, and actually those very fish that he tried to save, he saw the fish mating. That's what the yogis would do. They'd meditate underwater, and they're very skilled at preserving their life air and breath, and they don't even need to breathe for so long. And he's watching, though, these fish are mating under the water. And that's just a little bit of seeing the fish mating, even though he had been completely aside from any type of desire for material enjoyment. It arose a little bit of material enjoyment in him again. And so naturally, as he's meditating, he's building up all this austerity and all this power. He's meditating and meditating, and then eventually he gets so disturbed that he realizes, I have to go fulfill my desire. So he goes to actually a great devotee. His name is King Mandatta, who has 50 daughters. And he decides, I'm a great yogi. Please present all of your daughters to me in marriage, and I'll marry all of them. And I'll be able to please all of them. I have mystic abilities, mystic powers. I can take 50 forms and please all of them at once and give them all these opulent palaces. And so for many thousands of years, he got distracted in doing like this. And then eventually, he gets delivered and he realizes the futility in living like this. Many people, we think that, oh, if I can just get rich, and if I could just have a beautiful partner, and I can just enjoy with her for many, many years, I'll be very happy this way. Yes, maybe. You may enjoy like this for some time. Many people, these billionaires, they're enjoying like this. They're trying to enjoy like this. These millionaires, these wealthy people. But when it's all said and done, they can't keep any of that enjoyment. And they're stuck in the same place that you and me are with, what is the meaning of my life? I'm approaching death. Why am I here? What's the purpose of this all? And then they realize, well, what was the point of everything I just did? I just wasted most of my life enjoying and enjoying and enjoying. So even if you are taking on big austerity, you become a muni. If you offend a devotee, like he did to Garuda, he cursed a devotee, this will cause a huge fall down in your life. And you'll get very, very distracted. I've seen this even closer to home than I like to see it. In myself, where I've offended devotees and it's caused me to lapse in my devotional practices and strength, and I have to do some penance to realize I'm on a spiral downward. I'm attracted to material enjoyment again. So like this, we have to try our best not to offend devotees. We have to try our best to learn from the pastime of Kaliya. One, never to have evil intentions towards anybody, but especially Krishna and his devotees. But to never have these evil intentions towards others. Malice. And ultimately, do not try and check Krishna. Do not get in the way of Krishna. Do not get in the way of Krishna's expansion throughout the world. Krishna has a plan. Like here in Syracuse, Krishna has a plan. He's coming to different people and he's touching people like you and you and you and you. And ultimately, we should never try and get in the way of Krishna. We should never try and get in the way of Krishna. And lest we be kicked. He will kick us. He will dance upon our head. But we should be very happy. It will be the wives of Kaliya were praying how fortunate Kaliya must be to have your beautiful lotus feet dancing upon his head. How many pious activities he must have done in the past for such a thing to happen. So we should see like this. If we're coming in contact with Krishna, we should see, wow, what great fortune we are coming into. But never try and check Krishna. Never try and check Krishna's devotees. Never have any evil intention towards him or them. And overcome this obstacle and let Krishna dance upon the head of this evil, this tendency to do evil unto others in our heart. And Kaliya will be killed. So I will end the narration there. I think maybe I'll read actually a little bit from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, what he says here. He says, the Kaliya snake, the personification of malice, polluted the Yamuna waters, which are spiritual liquid. The Lord tortured and banished him. And he said, Kaliya's malice always pollutes the water of the Yamuna, which is the spiritual liquid of the Vaishnavas. It is everyone's duty to give up this 10th obstacle, malice. And then we'll go to Bhaktivinoda, or Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati also had, he had so much to say. And it's also, well, he mentions this here. When people challenge Krishna, sometimes it looks like they have success. Krishna permits them to have some success. You know, like even in the pastime, Kaliya seized Krishna and he's squeezing and squeezing and squeezing him for hours, 2 hours like this. And everyone thinks, oh my God. Even here, we've had obstacle after obstacle in trying to secure the spiritual center here. And just when it looks like we're finally getting progress, another obstacle comes and there's another great danger. But if you're trying to just check me personally, yeah, you'll probably be victorious. Who am I? But if you try to check Krishna, Krishna will defeat you. Don't ever try and check Krishna. So Kaliya, he does like this. And in Bhaktisiddhanta, he's saying that, well, here he says like this. Those who are not exceedingly clever can never be servants of Krishna. But the service of Krishna is also never available to those whose cunning is employed for depriving Krishna of the fullness of his enjoyment. So, say there's so many things Krishna says he enjoys, but if somebody is trying to check that, or they're using their schemes to not allow Krishna to have his enjoyment, maybe harassing the devotees, like maybe this man who is on the Harinam, trying to, come against the devotees, not liking what the devotees are offering, even though it's very helpful. It's said it's not to be good for them. Kali and those who are actuated by a naturally malicious disposition are also styled clever in the ordinary phraseology of this damned world. Such rascals may also have the impudence of taking their stand upon the text of the scriptures by using their cunning in the graceless attempt of depriving Krishna of the service of his own. This kind of conduct may also pass undetected and may even be regarded as possessing the perfect skill of confidential service. But Krishna is sure to expose the real nature of the villainy, just at the moment when it has been successful in misleading his best beloved ones. So Krishna will expose it, even sometimes what looks like devotees. They come and they are depriving Krishna of what could be. And Krishna will come just when it seems like they finally won. Krishna will come and expose what's really going on. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is saying, it is indeed very difficult to understand the ways of Krishna. Krishna apparently permits almost every form of offense to be perpetrated with impunity against his most beloved ones. This has the effect of providing an opportunity to his own for proving their incomparable love for himself, and by means of this unique exhibition of their love, to defeat in the most fruitful manner the machinations of his worst enemies. So when the enemies of Krishna come against the devotees stand true in their love for him. And like that, ultimately, this is what ends up defeating the very villainy against them. But these brutes are never allowed to associate with the servants of Krishna, even after they forego their malice towards them. They are eternally debarred from the service of Krishna and Braj. But the touch of Krishna's feet makes a real difference between the recipient of his mercy and the other brutes. Kaliya is no longer regarded by Garuda as the enemy of Krishna. Kaliya is therefore allowed a place among the protected of Krishna. So, it's only 2 more paragraphs. It does not follow that it is a paying business to poison the hearts of his servants against Krishna, which is sure to be rewarded by the grant of his protection. Yes, this is so after the pride of the miscreant is thoroughly broken by being trod upon by Krishna himself. His is thereby inspired with a most wholesome dread, which effectively prevents him from trying to breed mischief among the bona fide devotees by owning an unwilling allegiance to Krishna and assuming the badge of his servitude by wearing on his head the print of his lotus feet. And he concludes, the mercy shown to Kaliya is so obviously and disproportionately great in its magnitude in the face of the extreme gravity of his offense, that no rationalistic explanation can do justice to its full beneficent significance. So if you give up your malice, like Kaliya gave up his malice towards the devotees, you can become of the protected of Krishna. Even in the beginning, if you want to go against Krishna's devotees, or you want to go against Krishna's service, or devotees performing Krishna's service, if you stop your ways and you feel sorry, and after Krishna kicks you and kicks you and kicks you over and over again, and you give up this nonsense, ultimately you can also be protected by Krishna, just like Kaliya was. So like this, even Garuda, even the devotees who Kaliya was offending and doing evil against, that's how he got in this position in the first place, no longer saw him as an enemy. So anyway, this is the story of Kaliya. May you give up your evil intentions. May you give up any type of trying to check Krishna's pleasure. We should always try and increase Krishna's pleasure as much as possible. That means the more chanting of his names, sharing of his pastimes, glories, qualities, prasadam, all of these things. We should never try and check these things. And yes, this is the pastime of Kaliya. So we'll end here. You have any discussion, questions? There's only a few of you left.
I was going to ask, you were talking about the story of how Garuda wasn't allowed in the Yamuna, but then you went towards talking about like how the Muni offended him, which is very, very nice actually. I like that. But we never got to the part about why Garuda really wasn't allowed in the Yamuna.
Well, he wasn't allowed because he was cursed by the Muni.
Oh, the curse was that. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I understand.
Because the yogi had ascetic power,
Okay,
and
I
when he performs a curse, Krishna will acknowledge that curse, and Garuda will acknowledge that curse. So Garuda wouldn't go there. He probably could have overrode the curse, but he respected the curse.
I didn't understand the curse actually. I was thinking that like when you were explaining it, I was thinking that.
Don't not so much explanation. It's okay. So, yeah, the Muni's curse prevented. He had a lot of ascetic power, so Garuda, out of not wanting to die and wanting to respect the Muni's curse, he did not go there. So Kaliya took shelter there. That's how he got there. But he was poisoning such a sacred place, so Krishna had to come and personally check him himself. Anything else? Parth? You have a question?
Yeah.
Loudly though, speak loud.
So, in Bhagavad Gita chapter 17, Divisions of Faith, last verse, I will read the translation. Anything done as sacrifice, charity or penance without faith in Supreme, O Son of Pita, is impermanent. It is called assert and is useless, both in this life and the next. In this regard, when people
No problem, Tej. You got prasad?
Tejas's suggestion is when we get rid of this, just put 6 chairs.
Yeah, we.
Folding chair. I bring you 6 folding chair. I do not have to worry. Because if you get these chairs and you put 2 people, they take over the whole thing. You give them 1 separate chair and they're fine. Just 6 people can fit.
Space for general.
You know what? I think that's a good idea.
You can move it.
And we can take the folding chairs out.
Yeah, and I don't want another couch anyway. We have too many couches
Anyway,
in here.
if they're not gonna take it from the street, I'll throw it in the truck and take it over there and I'll dump it.
Okay, that's amazing, Tej.
I'll see you next week.
I'll see you next week, Tej. Hare Krishna, Tej.
Friday. I see you next week.
Yeah.
See you next Friday.
Oh, see, once you right around that, just process it.
Yeah, I know.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right, Parth, you were in the middle of a question.
Sorry.
So, I'll again read the translation. Anything done as sacrifice, charity or penance without faith in the Supreme, O Son of Pita, is impermanent. It is called assert and is useless both in this life and the next. In this regard, like when people, like the one we met in the Harinam, or anyone who has not too much faith in this process, and when they try, and then when we try to start saying them, convincing them to chant or to follow this, they don't have faith initially. So should we like in the today's pastime we got like Kalaya has its based on its envious nature and all. It we can say it has no faith in the supreme, or it has basically no any.
Well, he gained faith.
Yeah, he gained faith after
Punishment.
Punishment.
Yeah.
But so that he realized. But how does people realize in this process with they don't have faith? Or basically,
They also have to realize through punishment.
to sum it up or to make it simple, like ninth offense or the 10 offenses that we read, 9 is to not to instruct a faithless person about the
The glories of the holy name.
So should we take responsibility as a devotee out of compassion to show this faithless person about some way of?
Well, you can try and help them in some way, but you don't need to go if you realize they have no faith. You don't need to, they have an inimical nature towards you and Krishna. It's just better to respectfully leave them be. You don't need to. There's people who are ripe for actually sharing this message with. If they're nice and kind and inquisitive, but if they're just ignoring you and they're like, shh, get away from me, or coming up and challenging you, these are not the people that are the best recipients to try and share this spiritual knowledge with. So, and it's actually an offense to the holy name to try and share like this. But this doesn't mean you don't try and help them. You can offer them some prasadam. You can just be chanting near them and they're getting benefit. Like that man who is challenging us. He's getting benefit. He's hearing the Hare Krishna a lot. But actually now he's not getting the benefit anymore because he's scared the devotees away. But we'll go back and give him the benefit, no problem, at some point. But no, you shouldn't take very special attention to, this person who has no faith, I have to definitely give them, you don't need to challenge their lack of faith. You just leave them be, no problem. Don't waste your energy. There's so many people who could receive that benefit. Even yesterday, I felt I was lamenting a bit. I spent so much time talking with these boys who had faith in the Christian way, but they were never going to have faith in what I was doing. So I wish I would have just kindly moved them on quicker so I could talk to the people who could potentially have faith in this way. But I think I spent a little too much time with them, but I missed out on so many others. So you can learn from that example. Don't waste your time on a faithless person like this. Just let them continue on like that. Krishna will handle them. He'll kick them, kick and dance upon their head and drive their heads into the ground in humility until they, like Kaliya, until they give up this faithlessness and this bad intentions towards Krishna and his devotees. So does that answer? Or?
Subsequent question, like even if they don't recognize about all the kickings and all because of the ignorance, do they eventually I know everybody's in great danger, but isn't that the greatest danger that because of the ignorance, like even though they're facing too many kickings or like many obstacles they don't realize?
Well, actually, the worst thing you could do is be indifferent towards God. Like Kamsa was much more fortunate than somebody who had no knowledge of God at all. Krishna was always on Kamsa's mind. He was always fearful of Krishna. And actually, all the demons who challenged Krishna, they got a much better destination than people who were indifferent to God altogether. So actually, even if they have some inimical nature towards God, like even me, I was an atheist, but I wasn't just an atheist. God was my enemy. I felt I had to disprove God at one point in my life. So actually, it was me that God showed some mercy and wanted to actually, share himself with. After kicking the snot out of me, kicking me over and over and over and over again until I actually realized. So yeah, they're actually having some mercy, this faithless person.
Isn't there a part of Bhagavatam where Lord Indra is quite Krishna is really indifferent to Lord Indra? Was it after, this part? And then he's, in his prayers, he's saying that he's upset because he's indifferent towards him. He's not mad or happy. He's just kind of ignoring him. So he leaves and then do you remember this?
Well, in both, it's both Brahma and Indra. They're Krishna kind of.
This was Indra with Govardhan Hill. That's right.
Yeah, Indra with Govardhan Hill, and then also Brahma after the Brahma Vimohan Leela. They're both lamenting that Krishna didn't so much pay so much attention to them after they do all their prayers.
And they're like really beautiful prayers.
Oh, yeah.
They're like really in-depth, beautiful prayers. And Krishna's just
Yeah, quite indifferent. So this is the worst thing, that we could be indifferent towards Krishna. But if you actually have such a passion for Krishna where you want to challenge him, actually you could be close to receiving his mercy. Like that man who challenges us, if Krishna kicks him enough, he might realize the benefit of and the error of his ways in challenging the devotees.
You hear some devotees come like this too. They're like, yeah, I really hated the Hare Krishnas, and I would challenge them, and I thought they were making, and then they kept going up to them, like criticizing them, and then one day they were just like, yeah, I realized that it was like really good stuff, and then they became like initiated devotees. It's like
Yeah,
crazy stuff.
I mean, this even happened to me. I mean, I was an atheist, and I challenged God, and I wanted to prove that even all the members of my family, I wanted to tell all of the religious ones, why I thought that they were wrong, and why, and discourage them away from God. So Krishna had a funny plan that, you're gonna be the one who is your whole life is going to be trying to share like this, at least for now. Who knows? Maybe I'll get punished and be like Shabari Muni and fall back into material enjoyment with 50 wives or something like this. Let's pray not. but yeah, we should not. Is that answer? Okay. Yeah, you don't worry about these people, and also let Krishna handle it. You don't have to take it into your own hands. Krishna has much bigger hands than you. So let him handle it. He will personally kick them how they need to be kicked, when they need to be kicked, and he'll do it in such a skilled and artistic way where he will make them realize the error of their ways. And then they actually might become your ally at one point, instead of your enemy. But just see them and wish well for them. Always wish well for all living entities. We should always hope. I hope Krishna shows you his mercy, like that. So let's chant this bhajan. Michael, we're not offering anything else?
Michael brought Burfi. I don't have things.
So for tomorrow or for tonight?
I was,
For tonight.
well, Murphy's for both days actually, because I was gonna bring it for tonight, but since there's no one here, I'll probably maybe have one. So there's plenty there for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I can just leave
I
it
think we
here.
each did quite a few.
Okay.
There's still.
Okay, no problem.
As long as I can please park.
All right, well, I'll end the YouTube then. Thanks for joining us. And
Please park.
because that's what pleases Krishna.